Hello there, my name's Jack and I'm a Community Funeral Director here at Heart of England Celt Funerals.
What branch do you work at?
So I currently look after the Anstey Road Funeral Home and also our Fosel Road Funeral Home.
And how long have you been working for us?
I've worked here since May 2022, so just coming up to 2 years.
And have you always wanted to get into funerals, or was it something you recently discovered and you liked?
No, so I originally started off my working career as a secondary school teacher, and then after a while realised that it really wasn't the profession for me. So while I was just looking for some new jobs, I took on a role at a different co-op as a driver bearer for limousines, and then never left.
So how did your career start?
So I started off at another co-op as a driver bearer, so just driving the limousines and the hearses on services and ceremonies, and then it was kind of 3 months or so into that job that I got a new role as a senior funeral service operative. So that involved me going out to people's homes to bring loved ones into care, going out to do hospitals, and kind of running all of the back of house, behind the scenes sort of things. And then it was after that I'd done that for a couple of years that I then got into the role that I'm in now as a funeral director.
Oh, so you built your way up?
Yes, yeah. So I've kind of done pretty much every job in funeral that there is to do. So I've now been a driver, I've been a funeral operative, I've been a funeral arranger, and then I've also been a funeral director.
So what exactly is the role of the community funeral director?
So my role primarily is to be there to support our client families and the loved ones in our care. So my main role and focus will be to look after families in regards to the day of the funeral. So I'm the gentleman that you'll see in front of the hearse with the top hat and the frock coat, but I also then involve myself in arranging funerals from start to finish. So I look after the families that come into our funeral homes, look after getting arrangements, getting crematoriums and burials and pulling all that side of things together. And then kind of the final angle that we do is we run our funeral homes and look after the funeral arrangers and the staff that we've got there. So I deal with all of our finances, all of our administration. So it's kind of a multitask role.
So everyone has a specific job, whereas you manage and oversee everything?
Yes, yeah. So everything that you see in a funeral home is something a community funeral director will be involved in and have some dealing with. So again, we kind of start with those first phone calls when families come into our care. You'll then get your funeral director as well, arranging funerals and being with the family and going through that side of the process. Then also you'll see us out on the road on day to day in regards to doing services. So you'll see us at the crematorium and at cemeteries. So you really see a community funeral director at this company from start to finish.
What made you decide to work with Heart of England Co-op Funerals?
So I really like kind of the values and ethics and morals of a cooperative. And in particular with Heart of England Co-op, I like the fact that when I came for my interview and I had a chat with people, it really feels like it's quite a close-knit team and almost like a family in that sense. You're big enough so that you've got all the support and the direction that you need to do your job from day to day, but we're small enough that I know all of my colleagues at every single funeral home. Whoever I ring up, I know them as a person, I know who they are. So I just like the fact that we can combine that idea of that close-knit community spirit with all the values that a co-op can provide.
What do you enjoy most about your work?
I think the biggest part of my job that I love the most is the fact that when you go home at the end of the day, you make a real difference to the people and the families that you've looked after and that you've cared for. It's nice knowing that, you know, when you lock up that door, you can reflect on what you've done and you know that somehow, some way, even if it's a small impact, you've helped a family today. You've helped them through one of the most difficult processes in their life, and you've just managed to make that a bit easier, even if it's just a conversation or we've had a chat or we've managed to arrange something and pull it together. It is the notion that you've really helped not only your community, but you've really helped someone that's been in need. It's a nice feeling.
What do you enjoy least?
I think one of the aspects that I enjoy least, definitely is when things occur that are out of your control. So if you've got terrible weather, or, you know, if you get a flat tyre, or a minister arrives late, or the flowers are delayed, because it's a really hard thing to then try and explain to that family that actually this isn't something that's within your control. And as a funeral director, we do try and get everything into our control as best as we can, but there are some things that we just can't do, and it makes it a little bit stressful, but then I suppose that's part of the challenge of doing what we have to do.
How do you approach arranging a funeral with a family?
I think the key that I've always found is to be as organised as possible, so to get everything that you can ready in advance, because you never know what a family is going to request or what they're going to say, because no two funerals are the same. So organisation really is key, getting everything that we need in place, making sure that we have a good understanding of our local area, of what the requirements are for our cemeteries and our crematoriums, and being open and ready to have any curveballs thrown in by a family where they might request something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, or perhaps might be considered a little bit difficult. And then I think really also it is a key to approaching any arrangement is to be there for the family. It's to be, chatty and friendly, and to be empathetic and not sympathetic, because that's really a key point, that we're there to help them and support them, and we're not there to feel sorry for them.
What do you want to achieve for the family when you're arranging a funeral?
I think that the key is that we want to not only meet their expectations but exceed their expectations, and for that family to feel that they've really had a service where they've been looked after and cared for, and they feel that their loved one has been looked after and cared for. We want them to feel that, we've listened and we've understood what it is that they need, and then we've kind of met that and gone beyond that. So I remember we've had a gentleman lately who mentioned that his mum absolutely loved this particular area of shopping. She used to go there and talk to everybody, and if we could just kind of drive around there quickly, that'd be a nice little touch. So what we did then is we kind of expanded on that for him, and we made sure that we took our funeral cortege down the high street, and we'd let a couple of the shops know in advance so they could all be outside, because they all knew the lady that had passed away. And it was just a nice little touching moment for him that when we got out of the limousine at the crematorium, he just came and hugged me and said thank you. And it was really nice, because we know then that there's a little tick box in our head where we say, yeah, we've done a good job there for that family.
What changes to the funeral industry in recent years do you think have had the most positive impact on bereaved families?
With one of our big partners that we work with is a company called Ecclesiastical, who are kind of one of the nation's leading plan companies in regards to prepaid plans. They in particular have been really supportive and helpful for us as a business to make sure that we are following all these regulations, to make sure that we are providing quality for our clients and for our families who are entrusting their funds to us, and in the future entrusting their loved one to us via taking out these funeral plans. So I think it's been really beneficial that companies like that have really embraced these changes, and they've kind of helped us along the way to ensure that we are also there at the front of this kind of new revolution in regards to regulation for the funeral industry.
What do you think funerals will look like in 100 years' time?
I think there's going to be a real push towards digitisation and the use of this kind of electronic space that we all seem to be moving towards, kind of in regards to how we use orders of service and that side of things. And then I think a big one will be the vehicles and the fleets and the styles that we use. I think there's going to be a lot more of an environmental focus on our vehicles, and a lot more of an environmental focus on the way that we honour and celebrate the life of somebody. So, especially with the rise of all these different kind of eco-friendly ways of cremations and for burials, I think that's going to be a big push going forward, is thinking about our impact on the planet through our celebration of someone's life and our funeral ceremonies.
So do you think we will be booking a funeral online, for example?
I think that's going to be an option that people may start to consider going forward in the future, but I do think that, especially with funerals and the traditional element that there is in regards to this industry, I think people are still going to find comfort and solace from actually coming in and sitting down with someone who is a professional, who understands what it is that they need and what they can do to help, and that they can talk to face to face. And I think kind of that will still, it'll work side in side and hand in hand with this new kind of electronic way that things seem to be going.
What about for the older generation? Do you think they would find it hard?
I think that the older generation, because the funerals that they've experienced have been done in this traditional way, I don't think they'll find it hard. I just think they will find more comfort out of sitting down with someone face to face who they can have a chat with and is a person and they can interact with. I don't think an online booking platform will be something that will be for everybody's taste. like I said, I think we will still find a lot of families wanting to come in and see a person with someone who they can connect with and talk to.
What funerals are you particularly proud of?
Honestly, I'm proud of every funeral that I've done. They all require different levels of work and different levels of commitment and different approaches, but with my goal to make every family as happy as possible as my end goal, I'm proud of every single funeral that I conduct, that I arrange, that I support. They all mean just as much to me because I care for what I do and I love what I do. So for me, there's nothing that stands out because they all stand out.
How is Heart of England Co-op funerals different to other funeral directors?
I really love the fact here that we are, all of us that work in the funeral division, extremely close-knit. We all know each other. Our colleagues that work with our families at the front of house and our colleagues that support us behind the scenes, we all kind of cross and interlink with everything that we do. We all ring each other up for advice and support and help. And it's nice to know that no matter where you go in this company, no matter who you're working with, everybody knows everybody. And it creates a really nice atmosphere of support for one another in what is a really difficult job.